going on nationwide. And then by the end of this, we're going to end up kind of at the micro, what's going on in our own little neck of the woods in Atlanta, Georgia. So kind of as we begin our discussion, everything today is centering around what is going on with the interest rates and the interest rate environment. When interest rates seems like get above 6.5%, you can actually see buyer demand actually weakens at about that 6.5. Once it gets above 7, it's actually weak. Once we get above 6.5, you're really seeing more and more buyers drop out of the market. Anything below 6.5, it seems to me like the buyer demand is still very good. Below 6, the buyer demand is actually really strong. The turbulent times in the financial markets recently have actually kind of put a significant downward pressure on rates, which should benefit borrowers in the short run. That would be the banking issues, Silicon Valley, and the like. So that's actually benefited buyers. So what is it that's going on with housing prices? Well, it goes to kind of an old adage that I continue to hear about clickbait, or the fact that sometimes the headlines are designed to terrify more than they are to clarify. So let's kind of take a look and see what housing appreciation has been like from January to January in the top 20 markets in America. You can see Atlanta from January to January actually appreciated about 8.4%. Miami almost 14%. You can kind of come down and see basically it's out on the West Coast, those areas that have been very tech heavy and have been very limited by supply of homes for sale for the last couple of decades. Those are the ones that have shown the most weakness. You can see Tampa, I think that was the second best market. Miami, a lot of people moving down from New York to the Miami area, and then Boston, Charlotte. There has been strong year-over-year appreciation. In the Atlanta market, you can see that the average sales price for residential detached for 2023, you can see January, February, March right here. Again, very strong, very good appreciation. Nothing at all like what we saw with regard to the COVID years, but those were not normal years. We can't expect that. Very strong. And again, the declines in the West are due to the tech industry slowdown and the severe lack of affordability over the last couple of decades of undersupply. And again, that's from Selma Hepp, who's a chief economist at CoreLogic. If we look at just the regional year-over-year price appreciation, you can actually see, what's gone on here. The South, you can look at the South Atlantic, the South Central states. Again, very good year-over-year appreciation. Now, if we look at January, month over month, comparing January to, say, December, we can actually see a little bit of a different market here. You can see Atlanta did not go down. Boston went up. But again, you can see definitely a weakening going on month to month. So again, usually you want to compare January to the prior January for the year over year. But this will actually give you an idea of what went on from month to month. Nationally, again, you can kind of see month over month. The New England states were up 2%. You can kind of see the East and South Central. You can see the South Atlantic. Again, things that are going on. So if you look at have home values decline, stabilize. So you can see January 2022, according to the Case-Shiller, again, you can kind of see the weaknesses coming September, October. You can kind of see this is where the interest rates were above 7% last year. And you can kind of see, we're running now at just a little bit below 1%, 0.2, a far cry from the 20% that the Dallas Fed was actually anticipating, or that was reported back in November, October, and September. FA, again, you can kind of see month over month appreciation declines again coming right when interest rates peaked. And as interest rates kind of have come back, you can see again, it looks like, at least as of right now, the home value decline is stabilized. All in, home prices nationally are down 2.6 from their peak in 2026. That's according to Black Knight. If we look at Moody's, they're saying they're down 2% from their peak in July. Freddie Mac's got their opinion 2.5% from the June 2022 peak. So that's basically, again, far cry from 20%. So what is going on in the Atlanta market? Well, we continue to be very supply constrained. There's just not very many homes for sale in the Atlanta market. So we can sit down and we can say, oh, look at this. In 2019, there were 19,000 homes for sale. And right now, there are about 9,500 homes for sale. Again, when you compare that back to 59,000 homes being for sale back in 2008 and 2009, I was in the business then. I remember it. 59,000 is way up here. We still do not have the inventory that we need to satisfy the buyer demand. And this is, again, we're way up from the COVID lows, but again, well below where we need to be to have a happy, healthy, happy for buyers and sellers, sustainable markets. And so as we kind of go through and we look at the affordability of homes, this is the most popular question right now is, will a home be more affordable as we go forward? And as we look at that, there's three things that determine the affordability of a home. Number one is interest rates. As interest rates go up, that home that you love becomes less affordable. As home values go up, it becomes less affordable. And then also as wages go up, you can afford more of a home. So it's all going to be dependent on wages. Wages are driving inflation. Inflation is driving interest rates. And then also buyer demand. So the Atlanta market, what do we expect for the Atlanta market this year? Again, I expect it to continue to be a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit weaker than it was last year. But I do not think that we're going to go down 20% like was being reported back in September, October, November of last year. If you are thinking of buying a home this year or selling a home, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about how your neighborhood is doing, how the local market is doing, and whether it's a good time to buy or sell. My name is John Foster. I'm with Keller Williams and would love to chat. Price for Alpharetta, Cumming, which is in the green, Suwanee, which is the gold or the yellow, Milton, and the gray. So, and this is going from the past 3 years. So if you look at the Alpharetta market, which is right down here, you can see that we're going all the way out, and this should be through the end of March. So you can see that in the past year, the Alpharetta median sales price increased 5.3%, Cumming pretty much flat. You've got Suwanee, which is up 5.5%, then Milton, which is down about 10. So Milton, you can just kind of see it's going to sway back and forth. As you can kind of look at it, Milton's history, you'll see it's up and down. And again, the median, and then we can also compare the average too. Averages, most people will look at the median because the averages can be swayed very easily by, if you have a $30 million house sell in a specific area, that really impacts the averages. Most of the time people look at the median. So you can just see the median prices. We are not collapsing. Even Milton is not collapsing. You can kind of go back and look at the new listings. And again, you can see listings in Alpharetta down almost 30%, Cumming down 23%, Suwanee down almost 37%, and then Milton down 3%. So, with inventory levels down, that is acting as a floor of support for home values. And then if you look at homes for sale, again, you can see we are starting to get more homes for sale. But again, we need significantly more homes than what are for sale right now. Again, you can just see that Alpharetta, Cumming, Suwanee, and Milton, they are all up, but they're coming up from their historic lows during the COVID era. This back here, back in 2020, all the way back 2018, those were much more healthy numbers of listings and closings. So here are the closed sales by location. Again, Alpharetta down 24%. Why are we down 24%? It's because when you look at the number of homes for sale, what's gone on back here, everything was getting bought. Now what's getting bought out here is a home has to be priced right and in pretty good condition, and you'll still get multiple offers. Priced wrong or in poor condition based on the price, you're not going, it's not the same way it was 2 years ago. But the closed sales down, 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 and again down. And I contend it's just because there's not a lot of good inventory for sale. And as we come over here, if we look at month supply, again, 3 months right here in the Milton area, everything. And Milton's also driven by price point. You got to remember, the higher you go up in price, the longer sometimes it can take Whereas Alpharetta, Suwanee, and Cumming, again, you can see that they're all down below 2 month supply. And so remember this: 6 month supply is considered a balanced market where buyers are not taking advantage of sellers and sellers are not taking advantage of buyers. Anything above a 6 month supply, it's considered a buyer's market. That's usually where buyers are asking for discounts, where they're asking for home warranties, they're asking for the seller to contribute towards closing costs, depending on how big of a buyer's market it is. They might even ask them to pay 1 year's HOA dues, things along those lines. Below 6 months, it's considered a seller's market. That's usually where home prices are going up. It's usually where you're competing in multiple offer situations. When you get below 2 months and 1 month, you can see right back here, these are just crazy times. And then the thing is, interest rates back here were so good, it was just bringing everybody out to look at homes. And then finally, the very last thing I wanted to show you is just days on market. Again, you can see back here where interest rates were up. You can see really a slowing of the market. Boom, interest rates dropped, and the number of buyers just came right out. Right now, what am I seeing in our area? I'm seeing multiple offers on good homes. If a home is priced right, it's going up on the market and it's getting multiple offers within 10 to 12 days. It is not the same market it was 2 years ago. And again, that's not a healthy, normal market. We still are in a very, very strong seller's market. And if you are thinking of selling and you want to talk to an agent that understands the market, understands how to use the stats when we negotiate, to set a list price to help you get the most money for your home in the shortest amount of time, give me a call. My name is John Foster. I've done this full time since 2003. And I would love to chat if you're thinking of buying or selling a home. My phone number is 770-722-7010.